Hi guys and welcome to the Sunderland vs Fleetwood match review. Now, after the game finished yesterday, we did of course draw 1-1. I thought to myself, God, this match review is going to be the spitting image of the Oxford one. Of course, similar scoreline, relatively similar performance. So I thought that I'll try and approach it from a relatively, slightly different angle. Obviously we'll go through what happened in the game and what have you, and the performance and stuff, but I'll try and approach it and summarise from a different, more positive angle, because I watched through I rewatched the Oxford review and it was very depressing. But sometimes I feel like we have to knuckle down and be serious with what we're actually seeing and not get too dragged away on the sort of, the magic carpet that it's been over the summer and stuff like that. Sometimes we do have to be a bit honest with that, but I am going to try and turn it on a more sort of positive note, maybe towards the end, and conclude on a more positive note. So we did take on Fleetwood, of course, and I was desperate to beat them. Absolutely desperate to beat them, more so because that knobhead is in charge of him. And I hate that man, say what you want, I hate him. And that's no disrespect to Fleetwood. I live 5 minutes away from Fleetwood. Me living in Blackpool, I'm 5 minutes away. I have family who live there. I regularly go up to Fleetwood. It's literally a 2-minute drive in the car to get to Fleetwood. I respect them in the way that, they had a relatively, it was a tiny little club, and they've built themselves a nice little side there, a decent little club in League One now. I've seen that happen. Not that I really care about them, I don't, but I respect what they've done. So no disrespect to them. I just absolutely hate your manager. But the game kicked off, and within the first couple of minutes, Gooch had a very, very good opportunity. It was Hume who whipped a ball in. It managed to make its way through in the box to Gooch, and he's lashed it wide of goal. And I thought, yes, we're up for it. We're up for it. But bear in mind, I did say to my friends, because we all watched it together, we streamed it on the TV, and I forced them to watch Sunderland. I know I'm a really bad mate, but I did say to my mates, when they asked about, how things are going to go, I said, it will take us, to wake up. We'll have to concede a goal to wake up. I guarantee you that will be the case, because that's just, a running theme at the minute with Sunderland. We're conceding immediately. We're not at it from the off, but we did have a good chance early doors. And I thought, yes, this is it. But of course I was wrong. I did 9-10 minutes in, and it's a free header from a set piece, another recurring theme. We just don't seem switched on early doors, and they've got a free header, and they've made it 1-0 to Fleetwood, and probably deservedly so. We got excited for the first couple of minutes, and we just lost it again. Just completely lost it. Fleetwood probably the better of the sides between the two. We had spits and spurts where we seemed a decent side, and then they were the better side. I think what's concerning me more is that the football that we saw for the first sort of 4 or 5 games, 3 or 4 games maybe, we saw this personality to our game with, the nice passing football and the moving off the ball, and it was really nice on the eye. Even if we weren't necessarily scoring a ton of goals or whatever, the football was there. You could see what we're trying to do, regardless of what the result's going to be. But that just seems to have absolutely disappeared in the last 3 games, maybe. We're just not at it. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say we were horrendous against Fleetwood. I don't necessarily think we were. I think we were matched more than anything. We were matched. I think I'm more accepting of this one because I believe that we're a lot stronger than Oxford. No disrespect to them. That's just my opinion. I think, particularly on paper, I think we're a lot stronger than Oxford. Fleetwood, on the other hand, they're going for a sort of playoff place. They're going to aim for the sort of top end of the league, and so I expected a more difficult game, and they just happened to match us. In terms of the intensity, they brought it more than we did. They were right in our faces again. It's another side that have obviously took notice of what we don't like. We don't like teams that press us really high, and because we just give away the ball, it doesn't allow us to play that nice football that we have seen, which is probably the answer to my own question. That's why we haven't seen it. But there are ways around it. If you are good enough, you can work around it, but it's just a case of, are we actually good enough? But anyway, yeah, so Madger managed to get us back on level terms. We had a relatively decent spell towards the back end of the first half, and Madger managed to get a foot on it, and it's bobbled its way in off the post. And it's a good goal. It's his 5th goal of the season, and there's something I need to do, because I have been reminded by a few people in comments I haven't give Madger enough credit. I tend to just say, Madger scored and then go into the next thing. Madger, I think the reason is, I'm not going to say and I've actually been accused of disliking Madger, which I don't at all. I have nothing against Madger. I really appreciate his talent. He's a young lad, and I think that's it. I think the thing with me, because we've had such bad experiences with the likes of Asoro and other young players that I believe that have been hyped up unnecessarily when they haven't achieved anything, and then I see people calling them legends or the future of Sunderland. And in the past, like for example Asoro, he achieved nothing for us, yet he was, he was getting called a legend. Ethan Robson was the same. I think he looks like a decent little player, but he hadn't done anything for us, particularly last season, and he was getting called the future of Sunderland and this, that and the other, which it might well be, but I think with me, I'm very wary of young players in the modern day gaining massive egos, and that's probably why I might sort of shift over the likes of Madger when they do something well. Maybe I don't focus on it enough, and I think that's probably it. I'm probably just trying not to contradict myself from things that I've said in the past about young players. But I do need to take my hat off. I won't actually do it because my hair's an absolute state. But yeah, I haven't given Madger enough credit. He's been excellent in terms of getting us goals. Of course, there's room for improvement. There is with every young player. His finishing is second to none. I think he's the best finisher we've got. But is he the best player or the best fit up front for us? Personally, I don't think so. Because obviously in this league we need a more physical player. He gets pushed around so easily, he gets bullied. But with Madger, again, fair play to him, he only needs, one or two chances before he gets a goal. But it's just, is that enough in this league? Will he get those clear-cut chances? Not saying he needs, he can only score off clear-cut chances, but he needs the opportunity to get those shots in, and he's not getting a massive amount of them. But yeah, again, I can't knock him. I can't knock him at all. He's scored 5 goals for us so far this season, and he has been nothing short of excellent. So yeah, hats off to him. I've given him his due now, so you can all leave me alone and stop saying that I hate Madger, because I don't. So the second half gets underway, and it's an awful start. It's a poor start. They had chances of their own. Fleetwood, I'll have to obviously give them credit as well. They did play relatively well. I think their biggest threat was just putting balls into the box, just crosses, high balls into the box, and we couldn't deal with it. I think against Fleetwood, this game was probably the first time where Baldwin didn't look incredible. He's looked like a real force. There was a few times where I think he just got cut out. His marking wasn't fantastic. Leuven's was probably a little bit better than him in that sense. I think his experience shown a bit more there. I'm not saying that either of them had a poor game or a bad game, because they didn't really. But yeah, they could have gone 2 or 3-1 up within the first 10-15 minutes of that of the second half. They had some good chances in the box which they missed. But then Matthews gives away a penalty, and I think this brings me on to the fact that I don't think Matthews should have started. I don't get that. He's just come back from injury. Reece James has just been getting a bit of game time in, and I think he's looked very solid. So if anything, I thought that it'd be Reece James on the left, and then maybe Hume on the right in terms of wing backs. I didn't expect him to go for Hume, given the young lad his first league debut, and then Matthews, who's just come back from injury. But I can't give Matthews the excuse of he's just come back from injury. It was a ridiculous foul. It was needless, and he's given away a penalty. And lo and behold, we witnessed the first ever penalty save in a league game at the Stadium of Light. McLaughlin saves it down to his right or down to his left. I can't remember how he works. I've completely messed that one up, Anna. But yeah, he saves the penalty. He saves the penalty. It's a decent save, and we've been let off the hook there. Big time, massively. But we did have our own spells. We did have our own chances, particularly towards the end of the game. There was an absolute onslaught towards the last sort of 5-10 minutes, and I can't believe we didn't score. We had chances where Flanagan, point blank range, and he missed. And it was an incredible save from the Fleetwood goalkeeper. Another chance with Sinclair, and we hit the post. And all in all, 1-1 was probably a fair result in terms of, they had a penalty which they missed. They had their own chances, but then obviously we had, like I say, the onslaught towards the end of the game where there was 2 or 3 times where it would have been easier to score, but we missed. And granted, there's some fantastic goalkeeping from Fleetwood, but yeah, we should have probably finished the game off in the last sort of 5 minutes or so when we were given the opportunity. But yeah, so that was the game. It was 1-1. Hume, for me, was man of the match. I think he was fantastic, particularly for his first league debut. I think he was excellent. He's very attacking, which I like. in a wing back as well. Got caught out a couple of times, you know, defensively when he's getting a bit too excited and he makes the overlapping run and commits to it when, you know, we've lost the ball and stuff like that. But all in all, he was very good. He was very solid, and I really like the look of him, and I'm really happy for him as well. Obviously, we saw, I forgot to mention, White, the likes of White come on. Sinclair does give us something a bit different. And that's why I like with all these players coming back. We have, when things aren't going to plan, we have so many options now. We have White, Sinclair, Madger, all to choose from up top. I think Sinclair gives us a bit something different, a bit of pace, and he's probably, I think the better finisher. I'll probably have to give it to Madger, although we don't really know too much about Sinclair yet. But Sinclair, I think, has a bit more pace than Madger. He's a bit stronger than Madger. Whereas then we have White, who, you know, to me looks way off the pace at the minute, personally. I obviously like the look of him. I know what he can do. I know he can score goals, but he looks way off the pace. He doesn't quite look match fit to me, which he probably won't be. You know, he's missed a good chunk of pre-season and stuff like that. I think all in all, I think we probably need 2 up front. Because I think Maguire, he was poor again. I think that's his 3rd game in a row where he's been really bad, in my opinion. He looked awful. Gooch, I think, more coming to his own in the second half. So, you know, he was all right. McGeoch, even though I've claimed I'm a massive fanboy of his, it wasn't his greatest game either. It just wasn't a great day in terms of our performance. I just don't think we were at it up until we don't seem to wake up until shit's hit the fan. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know what's happening with this. It's like we've lost our buzz. Like the first game of the season against Charlton, granted the first half wasn't great, but we were closing down. We just got beat by a better team in that first half anyway against Charlton. So yeah, I don't know where it's got. I don't know whether they just need a rocket up their arse or what. It would just seem like a completely changed team. Granted, we've only played a few games, but the first few games we were constantly pressing. We've seen the great football, but this I don't know. We're not at it. But you know, in turn, we haven't lost. We haven't lost a game, and I think because we had such a brilliant start. If you think about it, when Ellis Short sold the club, we had Stuart Donald come in and Charlie as well. What were our expectations? Realistic, we probably didn't have any, because we've been through so much shit over the last couple of years. We probably didn't have any expectations, and I think that's why when we've done so remarkably well over the first few games of this season, we're unbeaten. Our standards have absolutely shot up. Do you know what I mean? So now anything below brilliant, I think it feels a lot worse than what it should be. Maybe, if you know what I mean. I think we've set such a high standard in this opening period that anything less than a win feels like a loss, which is probably the case. Like for me, you know, for the first few games were so. I'm just repeating myself now a little bit, but basically I'm just trying to say, you know, we're doing well. We're doing really well. We've managed to put a team together that is competitive, you know, and that was the main thing. And I think the January transfer window is going to be a massive one for us. It's going to be absolutely massive, huge, because I think during the summer transfer window, we probably nearly got a few different players. A lot of players were probably a bit sceptical of coming because it's Sunderland. We looked like we were on a downward spiral. They didn't know how the club's going to turn out. There's probably a few players that thought, you know, yeah, it's a massive club, but, you know, look how bad they're doing. I don't want to be a part of that. But then if we manage to keep ourselves in the sort of top 6 come January, they're going to be players thinking, okay, they're on the up. I want to be a part of that. They've actually got evidence that they are on the up. It's not just words back in the summer saying, you know, we're going to be on the up, because it could have easily gone to shit. We could have lost our opening 6-7 games of the league. Do you know what I mean? But we haven't. We're unbeaten. So I think January will be a very interesting one. Hopefully the likes of Ndong and Papi have gone by that time. Hopefully there comes some kind of arrangement. I know they're seeking legal advice at the minute. Both parties will be doing the same, because that'll free us up big time for wages, because we do need a little bit of TLC here and there in different areas of the squad. But with what we've got, all in all, we're doing incredibly well. With what we've spent, with who we've brought in, I think we've definitely brought in the right kind of players. It's just sprinkling a little bit more. That's all it is for this league anyway. So yeah, that'll be the match review, guys. I thought I'd leave it on a more positive note, because I could have easily just sat there and just chat shit and go, you know, and be really depressed for the rest of it. But yeah, so that's it, guys. I hope you're all well. What did you guys think of the game? Who was your man of the match? Mine was Denver Hume, as I said. Let me know in the comments. But if you have enjoyed the video, please smash that like button for me. It'd be massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarnie Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.